السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على نبيه ومصطفاه وبعد. My dear viewers, welcome to another edition of your program Fatawa. I have many questions today, mashallah. The first question is about divorce and al-mut'ah. The word mut'ah, by the way, there are two meanings for the word mut'ah, but once it is relating to divorce, it refers to the financial support or the gift that the husband pays to his wife when he divorces her, as will be explained inshallah. So the question is from one sister who is asking about that we got married, we processed the marriage contract, but we did not consummate the marriage. What happened is that sometimes I used to visit him in his place and we were alone, but we never actually consummated the marriage. So do I deserve al-mut'ah in this case? As I said, I like to explain the term mut'ah because it is one of the words which you can say ambiguous. So once it is mentioned, somebody's mind may go to the mut'ah marriage, which is forbidden in Islam. The mainstream of the ummah believe that the temporary marriage is not permissible and it is simply a form of fornication. But the mut'ah here is derived from the ayah of Surah Al-Ahzab, ayah number 49, chapter number 33, in which Allah the Almighty stated, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا نَكَحْتُمُ الْمُؤْمِنَاتِ ثُمَّ طَلَّقْتُمُوهُنَّ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَن تَمَسُّوهُنَّ فَمَا لَكُمْ عَلَيْهِنَّ مِنْ عِدَّةٍ تَعْتَدُّونَهَا. Then he said, فَمَتِّعُوهُنَّ وَسَرِّحُوهُنَّ صَرَاحًا جَمِيلًا. And the meaning of this ayah, that Allah the Almighty is commanding the believers that if you marry, or who you believe, if you marry the believing women, then divorce them before consummating the marriage, before the actual dukhul. Then in this case, you have no term which you should reckon. Yani there is no iddah. The iddah, which is the waiting period for a divorced woman before she will be able to accept marriage proposals. And also, during the iddah, as we discussed before, that the husband can take back his wife to his marriage life without a need for a new marriage contract or a new dowry. That if the divorce was the first or the second divorce. If there is a third divorce, it's irrevocable and he cannot take her back. So this is the iddah, which is the waiting period. وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوء. And women who have been divorced, they should wait for 3 quru', yani 3 periods, in order to verify that they are not pregnant. And afterward, if the husband does not revoke his divorce, then she is free and she can marry somebody else if she is interested. Then Allah the Almighty said, there is no iddah in this condition, and He said, فَمَتِّعُوهُنَّ. So make some provision for them and send them some goods or goodly sending forth. What does it mean? It means the ayah provided us with 2 hukms. The first is whenever a couple get married on papers and they process the marriage contract, if they get divorced before consummating the marriage and they did not name a dowry, in this case, number 1, the divorced woman, she deserves what is known as the iddah, which is some gift, financial support. Could be in the form of a nice set of clothes, it could be in the form of giving her some cash, and it varies from an individual to another. Allah the Almighty says, على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف. يعني everyone within his capacity. Sometimes a person is a multi-millionaire, so if he gives 50 grand, that's affordable for him. Okay, so it is not a fixed amount, it is rather a gift that is based on the capacity of the person who divorced this woman before consummating the marriage with her, as a mean of compensation and not to break her heart and so on. That is called the mut'ah, in case that a woman is divorced after the marriage contract and before the consummation of the marriage. And also there is another hukm. There is no iddah. So if he divorces her before consummating the marriage, right away, an hour after divorce, she can get married. Why? Because she's never been with a man before. She's absolutely free. And in this case, there is no raj'ah. He doesn't have the right to take back his word, because she was not his wife completely yet. So now, I would like to recap the following ahkam. If a man got married, but before consummating the marriage, he divorced his wife before the complete dukhul, then there is no iddah, waiting period for the woman. She can get married soon after she hears that she is divorced. Number two, the man does not have the right to take back his word or revoke the divorce. It is not raj'i. Number three, the woman deserves what is the iddah. It is the mut'ah, which is a financial support or a gift, everyone according to their capacity. Well, also in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah the Almighty said, لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء ما لم تمسوهن أو تفرضوا لهن فريضة ومتعوهن على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين. That is ayah number 236, chapter number 2, Surah Al-Baqarah. So Allah the Almighty delivered the hukm in this ayah, confirming that there is no blame upon you if you divorce your women before قبل أن تمسهم, before you touch them, meaning before you consummate the marriage, before you have a complete dukhul. Okay? And if you did not name a dowry, in this case, متعوهن, it's a must to give them the mut'ah, this financial help or the gift, as we discussed earlier. على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف. Somebody who is rich, give within your capacity. Somebody who is poor, give whatever you can afford, بالمعروف, based on people's customs and what they can afford. حقا على المحسنين. It is a duty due upon the good doers. Here is a question. The sister is asking about the hukm, and she also said that I have visited him in his place and have been with him alone, but we never consummated the marriage. In fact, brothers and sisters, some of the ulama, such as Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, may Allah have mercy on him, believe that once there is a khalwa, and al-khalwa means being alone with somebody behind closed doors, where you guys feel safe, that to the point you can actually embrace each other sexually. Okay? This khalwa, sometimes it is permissible and sometimes it is not permissible. It is permissible for a husband to be alone with his wife behind closed doors anywhere, in a hotel room, and travel together, whether they actually become sexually active or not. And it is not permissible for anyone to be alone with a woman who is not lawful for him, nor is she his mahram, okay, or any of the maharim, behind closed doors, even if nothing happens and even if they are not interested in each other and no sexual activities took place. Because al-khalwa is a mean that leads to indulging into sexual activities. So again, a boss and his secretary behind closed doors is not permissible. A doctor and his nurse behind closed doors alone is not permissible. She's assisting me, she's doing the paperwork. A teacher and a grown-up, he or she, it is not permissible. The Prophet ﷺ said, ما خلا رجل بامرأة إلا كان الشيطان ثالثهما. No exception. Whenever a man and a woman are alone, we're talking here about man and a woman who are not having any relationship. He's not her mahram, like he's not her brother, father, a son, or uncle. He's not her husband either. In this case, they are not alone. Their third is Satan. So he is going to topple both of them, and he is going to whisper to them to commit an indecent act. Because of that, it is forbidden. A man and a woman who have got them married and there is a marriage contract, it is recommended before consummating the marriage they announce it. And upon consummating the marriage, people know that this woman is moving into this person's house because they are a husband and wife. So when they walk out in the street, they're husband and wife. When they see her going up to his flat or his house, everybody knows that they're husband and wife. Sometimes it happens that nowadays, due to the financial restraint and the recession in the economy in many places, so they process their marriage contract in order to allow them to chat with each other, to go out so that they can shop for the furniture and the paint colors and all of that. And meanwhile, they can be alone. After processing the marriage contract, it is okay to hold her hand, it is okay to kiss her, it is okay to hug her, and it is actually okay to consummate the marriage too, because you are actually married. But it is recommended upon consummating the marriage, it should be announced. What if it is not announced and she went up to his flat and he closed the doors and nothing have happened? Well, in this case, it will be treated as if there was a marriage consummation. Why? Because the means were available. So in this case, this woman would deserve the full dowry. We've discussed before, if a woman is divorced before, if she is divorced before the consummation of the marriage, and they have agreed the dowry is 50 grams, for instance. If she is divorced before the consummation of the marriage, she gets half the dowry. She gets 50%, 25 grams. But after consummating the marriage, the entire dowry is hers. By analogy, if they happen to be in khalwa, behind closed doors, and all alone, where they have a full access to actually embrace each other sexually, even if they didn't, in this case, the ahkam will differ. That will be treated like if they have consummated the marriage. So if he divorces her, she will be treated as a completely and fully married woman. Even though she may be still virgin, she would deserve the full dowry, and she have to wait for the iddah, ثلاثة قروء, like an ordinary divorced woman. The following question is, and by the way, before I go to the following question, with regards to the mut'a also, it is recommended for every woman who's got divorced, whether before or consummating the marriage. Before consummating the marriage, it's mandatory. But after consummating the marriage, the mut'a is recommended. Allah the Almighty said in ayah number 241 of Surah Al-Baqarah, وَلِلْمُطَلَّقَاتِ, generally speaking, all the divorced women, مَتَاعٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَلِلْمُطَلَّقَاتِ مَتَاعٌ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ حَقًّا عَلَى الْمُتَّقِينَ. The following question is from somebody who says that I'm in a dilemma, I am in big debt, overwhelmed, I have a lot of loans, and if I don't pay, I would lose my house, I may end up in jail, my kids will be homeless, and I wonder if it is permissible to take a loan with interest from the bank in this condition. Number one, brothers and sisters, we all agree and we all must understand that one of the worst sins ever is dealing with riba. And what is riba? Riba is to borrow some money with a condition that you will pay extra at the time of the payment. You need the money right now, or you buy some goods and you will pay the money which you owe in installment, but you will pay extra. So you owe 100,000 and you will pay it 110, 115 or 120 or even $101, even if it is a handful of grains. Anything extra than what you borrowed is interest. كل قرض جر نفعا فهو ربا. Based on that, this is absolutely forbidden. What forbids riba is not the percentage of the interest, rather, or the rate of the interest, rather the concept of the interest itself. In this case, it's a major sin, and there is no other sin in the Quran which its punishment is similar to the punishment of dealing with riba. Allah the Almighty said in Surah Al-Baqarah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وذروا ما بقي من الربا إن كنتم مؤمنين. O who you believe, keep your duty to Allah, fear Allah, and leave all the remains of riba if you truly believe. If you are true believers, you should stop dealing with riba. You should not deal with any business transaction that is interest-based. What if they don't? فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. If you do not quit, then Allah and His Messenger declare war against those who deal with riba. It is the worst punishment when you have Allah and His Messenger oppose you and wage a war against such person. May Allah guide us what is best. Generally speaking, whatever Allah has forbidden or His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are what is known as darurat, necessities, which make the forbidden lawful, but with a limit. Such as, it is not permissible to eat the dead meat, a meat of an animal which died on its own, or it was shot, or it was hit and it died, it was not sacrificed. It is not permissible to eat the flesh of the swine. حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أهل لغير الله به. But if the person is in desperate condition, he is gonna die if he doesn't eat it. In this case, the person is permitted to eat with a limit to survive. If the person in a condition where he will go to jail, his family will be homeless, and he would not have a place for his family to stay in while he is incarcerated, that's a necessity. So he should, number one, exhaust all the means. Ask friends, family members, colleagues, try to raise funds here and there in order to collect a goodly loan. If he cannot collect this goodly loan, the last resort is to take a loan with interest from the bank in order to settle this debt so that he will not go to jail, and he should work hard on settling this loan. May Allah the Almighty guide us to what is best. We will take a short break and we'll be back inshallah in a few minutes. Please stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. The first question in this segment is from an imam who is leading one of the Islamic centers in Europe, and he says that some of the community members hand over their zakat to me in order to dispense it for them and pay it to those who are worthy of the payment of zakah. So he says, sometimes I keep the zakah with me, this money, for a few months. Is it permissible to do so? And how soon do I have to dispense the zakah which I collected? Whenever the zakah is due, it must be paid totally and entirely to al-mustahaqqeen, to those who are eligible. Ayah number 60 of Surah At-Tawbah explains the 8 categories of those who are eligible for the zakah. إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ, the ayah. And once the zakah is due, it must be distributed and it must be handed to al-mustahaqqeen immediately. So when you collect the zakah, it is not permissible to keep it for a few months. Nor is it permissible to invest the zakah in order to generate revenue so that it will benefit the poor, because this is none of your business. We appreciate that you collect the zakah from the rich and you try to distribute it amongst the poor. The only excuse that may allow you to delay the payment of zakah for a few days is when the recipient is not around, he is traveling, he will be back in a few days, in a couple weeks. So you set aside his or her or their share as an amana with you, but this is their share, and the rest must be distributed immediately. What is the proof? In Surah Al-An'am, number 141, Allah the Almighty says, وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ, chapter number 6, 141. Once you harvest the harvest, you must take the zakah and distribute it. So on the same day, you don't postpone it. As I said, if it is only a matter of a few days, a week or so, waiting for people to come from out of town, or in order to send it to people in their locality, that is fine. But to keep it for months, claiming that I'm giving them like monthly salary, or doing them a favor, not giving them all the money at once in order not to waste it. This is none of our business. And so there is zakah. Once it is due, it must be paid and it shouldn't be delayed. And there is zakatul fitr, which it has a beginning time and it has a deadline. So for instance, zakatul fitr is due on the last day of Ramadan at sunset. This is waqtul wujub. This is when it becomes due. And the last time is when the imam starts the prayer for Eid. So it's only a few hours from night till the morning. And that's why the scholars allowed us to pay zakat al-fitri a few days in advance. But if the person still did not pay zakat al-fitr until the imam led the prayer, then he will be blameworthy, committing a sin. He still has to pay it though, but it will be a voluntary charity. The following question is from one brother who says, I moved recently to a European country as a refugee, and I find most of the jobs are haram. I wanted to know what is halal and what is haram to work in, so that I would not be feeding my family from unlawful earning. First of all, may Allah the Almighty grant you safety and security and return you back to your country and give you peace, and all the Muslim Ummah. Ameen. Sometimes a person is in a situation where he has to live in this society. It is not his choice. Accordingly, it is permissible. But with regards to what is halal and what is haram, it is pretty much the same like what is halal and haram in a Muslim society. Yes, there are some haja, need, and sometimes there is a necessity, which is more than in a Muslim society. But generally speaking, what is haram here is what is haram there. So selling alcohol is haram, whether in a Muslim country or a non-Muslim country. Whether you running your own business or working for somebody, even though you don't drink it. Selling pork, the processed pork meat, pepperoni on the top of pizza, pizza topping, or by itself, sandwiches, that's not permissible. To sell it, to deliver it, to bake it, okay? But you may be pardoned if you work in the same place which serves both, because this is very widespread. You can barely find a restaurant in Europe that does not introduce what is forbidden. I'm talking about, pork for instance. So they serve meat, sometimes even halal meat, okay? But meanwhile they serve pork or pepperoni, like mainly in a pizza shop or store. So in this case, if your job is limited to work in what is halal, then this is permissible. Working in a big shopping center, grocery store, and you're only working in the department of appliances, and the store sells liquor, beer, lotto tickets, tobacco, and all the haram. Okay, it's permissible for you to work in the halal department, and your salary in this case is permissible. We encourage Muslims to do their own business, their own trade, to open their own shops and serve what they know for sure it is halal. But until that becomes affordable for them, look for a job which is halal. Sometimes you can drive a cab. Sometimes you can work in a medical field as an assistant if you have medical experience. Or you can work as a nurse. You can work in a nursing home. There are a lot of things which are halal, but the person really have to make an effort. Work like as a teacher. And in some cases, being a handyman gives you more income than being even a teacher. Work in the construction, which is halal. To the best of your ability, you must abstain from what Allah the Almighty has forbidden, and keep in mind that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ إِذَا حَرَّمَ شَيْئًا حَرَّمَ ثَمَنَهُ, which means once Allah forbids anything, any item, any food, any drink, then its price is forbidden too. Because some people are under the impression that I don't drink myself, but I sell the drink to those who perceive it as lawful. Those people think it is halal, so I sell it to them, but I do not drink. This is not permissible. If it is forbidden for us to eat pork, then it's not permissible to sell it. or to process it or to serve it. Once it is not permissible for us to drink, then helping others to drink by any means, offering the drink, the waiter, the seller, the carrier, all of that is forbidden, as the Prophet ﷺ have cursed all of that when he said, لَعَنَ اللَّهُ الْخَمْرَ شَارِبَهَا وَعَاصِرَهَا وَمُعْتَصِرَهَا وَبَائِعَهَا وَشَرِيهَا. Everyone who deals with alcohol, whether you sell it, whether you buy it for others, whether you squeeze the grape in order to make alcohol, whether you ferment it, whether you pack it, so must abstain from anything that Allah have forbidden. And the Prophet ﷺ has said in the hadith, مَنْ تَرَكَ شَيْئًا لِلَّهِ أَبْدَلَهُ اللَّهُ خَيْرًا مِنْهُ. Whenever somebody gives up on anything for the sake of Allah, like I'm offered a job, this job in a conventional bank, I will be making 6-7 grands, you know, this money I really need it right now. Then, but I'm not in desperate need, I'm still looking for another job. I said, no, I'm not going to take this job. I'm not going to work in a conventional bank. I'm not going to earn out of riba. Allah the Almighty will definitely give me or give you better than what you have abstained from for His sake. It's a very good offer. It's a wonderful opportunity. Many people are looking forward to find an opportunity like that. The opportunity have come to you and you neglected it. Why? Because it's haram. Allah the Almighty appreciates that so much. So the Prophet ﷺ promises, whoever gives up on anything for the sake of Allah, most definitely Allah the Almighty will give him better than what he lost or what he has given up for His sake. The following question is about doing murabaha business with somebody who deals also with riba, but in other partnership. If the person is having multiple transactions, multiple businesses, and he's investing here and there, and now he is in partnership with you, you have nothing to do with the rest of his business. Rather, you focus on what is between you and him. Murabaha is halal. What is murabaha? Murabaha means that I give you some money to invest in a halal business, and you give me a percentage of the profit. You don't give me a fixed amount, no. There is a percentage of the profit. And this percentage of the profit applies to the loss in case that there is any loss. I encounter the same percentage of the loss as well. If we agree that I will give you some money and I get 30% of the profit. So in case that there is a profit, you get the 30%. And in case that there is a loss, your share of the loss is 30%. If this person has another partnership or another company where he deals with riba, this is none of your business and it doesn't affect your business. Aisha radiyallahu anha, in the sound hadith, which is collected by both Imam Bukhari and Muslim, said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam have mortgaged his armor with a Jew for some food that he bought from him. So he used to deal with the Jews. He used to buy from them, borrow from them, mortgaged his armor with them, knowing that the Jews used to deal with riba. So not only that, if the person is a Muslim and he is not practicing, but also if the person is a non-Muslim, and if the person is dealing with riba, as long as the segment of the transaction between you and this person is halal, then it is permissible to do so. The following question is from one sister who says that I have inherited a big amount of money, and my husband now is the one who's running my money and doing all the investment and running all the business transactions. He lets me know what is going on, but he is fully in charge. My question is, if God forbid my husband is doing anything or haram transaction in my business, am I being responsible for it, or it's his responsibility? I know that Allah the Almighty will ask everyone about his wealth. I want to make sure that I'm not doing anything wrong. In the hadith, which is narrated by Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, and it's a sound hadith collected by Imam Tirmidhi, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, لا تزول قدم ابن آدم لا تزول قدم ابن آدم يوم القيامة حتى يسأل عن أربع. Which means the son of Adam will not be dismissed and his feet will not move even an inch on the day of judgment before having to answer for 4 questions. The 4 questions are his life, his entire life, and how did he do in his life, about his youth, about his wealth, how did he earn it and how did he spend it, and about his knowledge or about his health. In one hadith it says about his knowledge, what did he do with it. So according to this hadith, the wealth, not only will be asked generally about it, no. The Prophet ﷺ said, he will be asked about it, مِنْ أَيْنَ اكْتَسَبَهُ وَفِيمَ أَنْفَقَهُ. We will be asked, how did you earn this money and how did you spend it? Did you earn it from halal or from haram? And the spending too, it's not only the earning and the spending. And since it is your money, you are liable and you're responsible. So you should ask your husband what is going on and what do you do. And since this is your money, in case that one of you passes away, the money, like let's say that the husband passes away, the money is still yours. And you actually inherit from his wealth as well. If you pass away, and when we say if you, because we're all gonna die, then in this case, this money, it is not his. This money is yours. He only gets a share of the inheritance. If you have children, he receives certain share. If you don't have children, the share will be reduced to one quarter. If you don't have any children, he gets 1/2. وَلَكُمْ نِصْفُ مَا تَرَكَ أَزْوَاجُكُمْ إِن لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُنَّ وَلَدٌ. In this case, so the wealth is yours, and he will only get his share in case of the death of the spouse or the wife, which means you're responsible for your wealth. What about him? He is responsible before Allah the Almighty for the amana, and also how he manages the business. So the decision making of investing in halal, investing in haram, paying off and distributing the zakah, dispensing the zakah on time, taking it out of the money, is his responsibility. And if he doesn't do that, he is responsible. If you trust your husband, and alhamdulillah, shukla, you know that he's doing everything right, and you don't have to ask him, then you're not blameworthy. But if you think that there is anything which is suspicious, such as not paying the zakah, then it becomes your responsibility, because it is Allah's right. I happen to see people not paying their zakah, even though Allah blessed them with plenty of wealth, assuming that, well, I give in a charity, I distribute meat, I feed the poor. This is all called voluntary charity. It is voluntary. Nafila. It doesn't count if the person does not pay what is mandatory, which is a zakah. Number one, the zakah is Allah's right. The nafila is something extra that you're giving for the sake of Allah. But because when some people, they become very rich, like for instance, a millionaire. If you have $1 million, how much is the zakah on one's wealth, on 1 million? 25,000. So when you tell somebody that this year you have to pay 25,000 in zakah, they think it is too much. They don't think, oh, Allah has blessed me with 1 million. What is 25,000 compared to 1 million? And both Allah's wealth, and this is Allah's right in your wealth to be given to the poor. So since you're the owner of the money, you have to inquire about what about the zakah, and we need to give extra charity, we need to do this and that, we'll make certain that we invest in halal and so on. May Allah the Almighty guide all of us what is best. Brothers and sisters, once again we're going to take a short break and we'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the third and the last segment in today's program, Fatawa. The following question is from somebody who says, I hear the Imam sometimes whispering when he starts the prayer, saying the following dua: سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك تبارك اسمك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك. Mostly I understand the meaning of this supplication, but what is the meaning of وَتَعَالَى جَدُّكَ, and what is the right way to say it? This is a supplication which is recommended to be recited in the beginning of the prayer. As you know that the Prophet ﷺ used to pause after making the beginning takbir, and before the companions would hear him recite in Surah Al-Fatiha, he used to recite what is known as Du'a ul-Istiftah, the opening supplications. It is recommended, it is not mandatory, but it is very good to say it, because it is mandub, sunnah, and recommended. So this is one of the many supplications that he used to say. He used to say, Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdik. Glory be to O Allah, glory be to you, O Allah, and praise be to you. وَتَبَارَكَ اسْمُكَ, and blessed is your name. وَتَعَالَى جَدُّكَ, exalted be your majesty. Al-Jad refers to the majesty, the greatness. تَعَالَى جَدُّكَ, exalted be your majesty. And is also mentioned in Surah Al-Jinn in ayah number 3, وَأَنَّهُ تَعَالَى جَدُّ رَبِّنَا مَا اتَّخَذَ صَاحِبَةً وَلَا وَلَدًا, which means and that he exalted the majesty of our Lord. He has not taken a consort nor a son. Okay? So the Jadd here refers to the majesty. Ta'ala Jadduka, exalted be your majesty. Then وَلَا إِلَهَ غَيْرُكَ, and there is no other God to be worshipped besides you. There are other supplications such as اللهم باعد بيني وبين ذنوبي كما باعدت بين المشرق والمغرب. O Allah, keep distance between me and my sins as you kept distance between the east and the west. اللهم نقني من خطاياي كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. O Allah, wash me off and purify me from my sins, the same way you purify the white cloth from the impurities. اللهم باعد بيني وبين ذنوبي كما باعدت بين المشرق والمغرب. اللهم نقني من خطاياي كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. اللهم اغسلني من خطاياي بالثلج والماء والبرد. O Allah, wash me off of my sins by the thalj, the snow, water, snow, and al-barad, which is the dough. Why? Because this is something coming from heaven. It is pure. It has not been contaminated with anything that is earthly. Okay? So these supplications are all to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us forgiveness, to purify us, while the first supplication that you inquired about is to praise and glorify Allah the Most High, and exalted be He. The following question is about sponsoring an orphan who is actually rich. Would we receive the same reward for taking care of an orphan who is rich? When his parents passed away, they left plenty of money for him, so he is not in need for our financial help. And how can one do that, since I heard there is a great virtue for the person who looks after an orphan? Similarly, if we support and help widows, women who lost their husbands, they may be rich. Would we still receive a reward for that? The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, أَنَا وَكَافِلُ الْيَتِيمِ فِي الْجَنَّةِ هَكَذَا. He pointed with these two fingers, the index and the middle. How far is the distance between these two fingers? Nothing. So the person who sponsors, adopts, looks after an orphan, takes care of an orphan, raises up an orphan, upbring an orphan, teaches an orphan until he or she grows up, will have such a great place in paradise. He will be so close to the Prophet ﷺ like these two fingers. Allahu Akbar. Also in the other hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, الساعي على الأرملة والمسكين كالمجاهد في سبيل الله أو القائم الليل الصائم النهار. Imagine when Muslims hear these ahadith we will not find any needy family. You know why? Because when you make money and you spend this money on your family and you save some and you invest others, this is good for you. But what is even better is to look for a widow, to look for a single woman who doesn't have any help or support, for a poor person, whether it's he or she. And as-sa'i means a person who's working. You're working, you're going to work, you're investing your money, you're doing trade, you're traveling to earn your provision in order to provide for those people. This is jihad. The Prophet ﷺ said, it is similar to struggling and striving for the sake of Allah on the battlefield. And not only that, it is similar to al-qa'im al-layl as-sa'im al-nahar. In reward, it is similar to a person who is praying constantly all night long, and similar to a person who is fasting on every single day. This hadith is collected by Imam Bukhari and Muslim, and it's a sound hadith. So also the hadith of looking after an orphan, supporting an orphan, is collected by Imam Bukhari and Imam Muslim, and it is a sound hadith. What is the meaning of kafilul yatim? It entails and it covers supporting an orphan financially, educating him or her, upbringing them. If they get sick, you take care of them, you take them to the doctors, you give them the medication. And if they have wealth, you take care of their wealth. Invest in their wealth in halal fields, and growing up their wealth is a form of kafala. So al-kafala is not only by paying money to the orphan because he's in need. And by the way, brothers and sisters, a lot of people, when they pay their zakah, they say the preference is to give the zakah to the orphans. Not any orphans. If you examine the ayah of Surah At-Tawbah, chapter number 9, verse number 40, Allah the Almighty doesn't say that in the ayah of those who are eligible for the zakah, it doesn't say that give the zakah to the orphans. No, he says, إِنَّمَا الصَّدَقَاتُ لِلْفُقَرَاءِ وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَالْعَامِلِينَ عَلَيْهَا وَالْمُؤَلَّفَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ, etc. So as zakah to be given to the poor and the needy. The orphan may be rich, then he's not eligible for the zakah. You don't give him zakah. You support him from your sadaqah, charity, which is voluntary. Yes, you'll be rewarded for that. Because it is agreed among the scholars that giving in a charity even to a rich person will be accepted and you will be rewarded for it. What do you think when we take a gift and we visit our family members, brothers and sisters? You will be rewarded for that, a reward of giving in a charity. Okay? Maybe your brothers and sisters are rich enough, but you are doing this voluntarily. You don't give them from the zakah, but you give them from the zakah if they happen to be poor. So a widow, an orphan, they need, if they are rich, they need more than the financial support. They need the moral support. They need somebody to give them the physical support, the moral support. In this case, for doing so, you will be rewarded likewise. The following question is about al-isti'adha while reciting Quran. If I have to interrupt my recitation for any reason, do I have to start the isti'adha again? Well, Allah the Almighty commanded in the Quran, إِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. Whenever you recite Quran, you should seek refuge with Allah. Against whom? Against the outcast Satan. مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. So, Allah the Almighty guides us that whenever you come to recite Quran, whether in the prayer or outside the prayer, you should seek refuge with Allah against the outcast Satan by saying, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, or saying, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. Okay? Or saying, أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم من همزه ونفخه ونفثه. Any form of seeking refuge with Allah against the outcast Satan and his blowing and his whispers and all of that. Why? Because once a person is ready to recite Quran, shaitan will come in order to distract and divert his attention from the recitation of the Quran. He knows that once you recite Quran, you will get a tremendous reward. He wants to deprive you from this reward. He will remind you of the thing and of that thing. You gotta make this call, you gotta read this news. So when you say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, it will distance Satan away from you and you will be protected by Allah the Almighty. In Surah Fussilat, also Allah the Almighty said, وَإِمَّا يَنزَغَنَّكَ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ نَزْغٌ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ. Whenever Satan whispers to you, then seek refuge with Allah against the outcast Satan. Okay? So this is the guidance of Allah the Almighty in this regard. The question is, whenever I'm ready to recite Quran, I recited my isti'adha. I said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. And now, somebody sneezed and he said, Alhamdulillah. So I interrupted my recitation and said, Yarhamukumullah, brother. Do I have to start over? No, you don't have to start over. You don't have to say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم again. But somebody walked in, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother? How is everything? How you doing? Where have you been? Then again you gotta say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitan al-rajim in the beginning of the recitation, because he was interrupted with a long conversation. But something which is brief or relating to the recitation itself, like I'm reciting, then there is a word I want to figure its meaning, so I looked it up. Then I resume recitation. You don't have to say al-isti'adha again. Or I was reciting and I passed by an ayah which contains sajda, so I prostrated myself. Then I got up in order to resume the recitation. You don't have to recite al-isti'adha again. Another question. We are drawn towards the end of today's episode of Fatawa. I would like to tackle as many questions as possible. One sister says that her husband passed away, may Allah have mercy on him, and the company is still providing them, like his colleagues are collecting some fund and they're still sending some financial support, like a salary for her husband, so that his family will benefit out of it. She is asking that who is eligible for this salary? Is it me and my children, or his parents, or all ears? The best way to answer this question is by asking the donors, because this is some sort of donation. Okay, his colleagues are collecting fund, cutting out of their salaries in order to support his children or his heirs, depending on their intention. So if they say this is for the wife and the kids, fine, this is only for the wife and the kids. What if it is monthly support and they did not name what is it for? Then it should be directed towards what the person used to do whenever he was alive. The iyal, those whom he were supporting financially. So if under his guardianship used to be yourself as a wife, the children, and the parents, they don't have any source of income, they are included as well. Okay? But if he used to support only you, himself, and his children, so this grant from the company will be distributed on those whom he used to support financially. This is obviously different than a compensation which the company gives as a lump sum or a big chunk of money, because in this case it will be distributed amongst the heirs, because this is a part of the inheritance. One more question. Somebody says that I purchased a computer from a store, and after I purchased it, I went home and I found the screen of the monitor was actually broken, which means it will not work, and if I were to fix it, it will cost me more than the screen itself. So I went back to the store and I told the seller that the screen is broken. He said it's none of my business, and he refused to take it back. The question is, I have not paid the price fully yet. Do I have the right not to pay for it, since it wasn't my fault and I did not know what was in the box. First of all, would like to say that when you purchase any commodity, you have the right, after you find out that there is anything wrong with it, it is broken, it is not functioning properly, it is your right either to go back to the seller where he will deduct the price and you will be happy with this break that he gave you, or you return it back. Why? Because it is not your fault and you bought it this way. So it should be guaranteed, at least until you open up the boxes and you find out what is in it. And normally the seller gives a few days, 3 days or 15 days or whatever, in order for the buyer to find out, to open up the box and find out whether the commodity or the computer in your case is functioning properly or not. Sometimes the seller sells an item which he himself has no idea whether it is functioning properly or not, good or not. And if he doesn't know, and if he put a condition, it is sold as is, I have no idea about it, and this is the price for it. In this case, any relationship between the seller and the buyer is disconnected once you complete the purchase. I mean, I'll give you a few examples. You go to buy watermelon. Watermelon is closed and no one having access to know what is inside, whether it's sweet or not. We buy the watermelon as fruit in order to enjoy its sweetness. But when you bought it, it wasn't sweet. You don't go back to the seller and say it is not sweet because I didn't know either. Okay? You buy an imported form of medication. He doesn't know the taste of the medication, the taste of the candy, and he just sells it. So if he declares that the seller is not responsible if the taste is not good or if it is not sweet enough, then in this case he is not liable. Okay? But if he knew beforehand that there may be any problem with the commodity, then he is liable and it is his responsibility. And in this case, you may not pay him the balance, so that you put pressure on him that he has to take back his commodity, his goods, his computer, for instance, or the monitor, or he has to compensate you for the loss and give you another piece. May Allah the Almighty guide us what is best. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.